Yeah, so my name is Veronica Rose Waechter. Sometimes I also go by Danes. That's my grandmother's maiden name. And I just choose to acknowledge her. She passed a couple years ago. So that's also my connection to my Gitsan side. So sometimes I choose to add Danes to my name. I'm also a sculptor. So I use the term sculptor because I sculpt wood. Um, as opposed to carver. Um, but this is because I feel like my practice is always expanding. So I could also use multidisciplinary as well. But yeah, I just feel that sculptor kind of is the right term. My mentor, Dempsey Bob, he uses that term. He's a master carver too. But yeah, it's just kind of the right word because it's not just like a shallow chip carving. He feels it's really in depth. And so, yeah, that's kind of the term we use. Yeah, so I kind of started in high school a little bit. I have a long line of carving in my family. So I kind of just took it up. I had no one teaching me. I just took it up in high school and then I just kept going with it. So from there, I went to the Frida Deasing School of Northwest Coast Art in Terrace here at Northwest Coast Community College. Now it's Coast Mountain College. It's a 2-year program. You learn how to draw, paint, make your own knives, and carve. So I had a really great time there learning from master carvers. And from there, I went down to Emily Carr for 2 years. So when I was down there, I got to meet so many different people. It was a totally different style of learning. And then from there, I moved back home and I worked with Dempsey Bob. At first, we started on a scholarship project for YVR Art Foundation. And then after that, I continued working with him. And so today, I still work with him when I can. We meet up and things like that. But mostly now, I try to do independent work. So I'm inspired by the past a lot. I look to what my father, what my grandparents, what my great grandparents have done. I'm inspired by all my cultures as well. I have Scottish and German heritage. So I do try to look at those old works too. There's a lot of similarities actually in the old stone carvings. So I find those really fascinating because at that time it was a different way to view artwork as well too, and view the land and view animals. So they represented these in different ways, and so I find that really interesting. Just thinking about how we can look at things differently and share different things. So I'm informed by that, but I make for myself. I make for the future. I share my own stories because in my Gitsan culture, that's kind of the way as well, is where we share our own stories. We don't really speak about other people's stories. So that's why I find myself um, sharing things about like environmentally conscious things like that. And like some of the challenges of today, but also like um, things that we should be happy about too, like our places in the family or like the certain roles we have in our lives and things like that. So it's kind of informed by the past, but I try to be inspired by my own life and my own experiences and share that. Definitely. I think I'm part of many communities now, and I think that's always kind of changing too as I meet more people and as I kind of move around. There's definitely an online community that I'm seeing more often too, which is really cool. But I'm kind of part of the Hazelton Gitsan community. I'm part of the Terrace community because I grew up here. I have family in the Vancouver Island area. And also because I lived in Vancouver, I have a little community there too. But of course, there's definitely an art community that's very strong. Northwest Coast art, craft art. And BC artists, I really find there's like a really strong connection online now. So that's really positive. Yeah. I'm pretty informed about the past. I study it. I really want to maintain some of those traditions, but I want to move with the times too, because I know we're not there anymore, and I know that there's a lot to learn from that still, and to bring that into the future. So yeah, I definitely think there's an important role there, especially like when I'm working with Dempsey. There's a lot to learn there too, and just the way he speaks and acts and treats people and things like that. That's one of the main things I think that I take with me. Yeah, sometimes I feel like I resist it, just because I'm a little bit lagging behind in that way, but as we move, I think I'm actually going with the times a little bit more. But I do try to learn more technological things. But yeah, it can be tough because I do put a lot of my own time into learning, like the handwork and things like that. And I feel like um, with machines, you can't really transfer that energy into the handwork pieces. Um, but in another way, like I know that it really does help us, like say with knife making, right? Like having those tools to grind down the metal and things like that. Like, yeah, it's definitely helpful. And I do appreciate it. And I know I need to take more time with it too. But yeah, I try to go in the middle, I guess. Like I want to learn more, but then I put a lot of time into my handwork. So it's kind of a try to balance it. But. Terrace, Terrace is a pretty distinct community in the Northwest as well. It's pretty small and rural. So as I grew up, I was pretty shy and things like that. But when I moved to Vancouver, I came out of my shell a little bit. So, but also growing up here, I saw a lot of challenges with the community, and I think it's made me really want to address those issues through art and finding ways. How can we come together more? How can we address these issues and make things a little bit better? So I've been really thinking about how I can use my art as a way to, like, as a tool, kind of, right? So in that way, but as well, once you go outside of the town, you know, it's beautiful. The land is incredible. And like just spending any time there, it completely just washes away any anxiety, any doubts. And so just spending time outside really has informed my practice, it really just, it really inspires me, as you could see from the piece I submitted. That's about my experience out hiking. And so yeah, there's definitely, there's strengths here, there's challenges here. But it's just about how do I express that through art, right? And so yeah, art has been a great way to kind of let go of some of those challenges and then talk about the strengths too. Yeah, so definitely when we go out, we walk pretty much every day. And one thing Dempsey tried to teach us is to look at the mountains and you'll see them in different ways. Sometimes you'll see different shapes that look like beings. So that kind of inspires me when I go home and see the shapes on my own carvings and things like that. But as well, like just seeing the raw materials alive, like the trees and things like that, before we carve them, it kind of adds to the life of it. So we just work from that. Yeah, like even one time last year, I got a log out from the bush, and I guess someone had been shooting out in the bush, so I didn't realize. So I brought this piece home and I started working on it. And then there ended up being bullet holes in this piece of wood, which would have affected my tools, right? Would have scarred them up. So I was really careful, but then I worked that into the design. So I made it a shot grouse bowl.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, kind of letting it live its life, right? Because it had already lived through that, and why take that away? So I definitely think so. I think it's informed by the Rocky Mountains. Since we're all living in relation to it somehow, it affects us. And then also the Pacific Ocean has really made this coast distinctive. So like a lot of the art that comes from this area, I feel is like really inspired by that. Um, but also I think it's kind of about the community vibes as well, right? Everyone is kind of used to the small communities or like living a little bit farther from each other, and but everyone knows each other, you know, so it's kind of like that. Yeah.